2024 is here, and with its arrival brings New Year's resolutions. This means it's time to start eating right, working out, and buying a PS5. Yeah, about that last part. This is a gaming channel after all, and with that in mind, of course my New Year's resolutions are going to be slanted towards video games. So let's look at 2024's New Year's resolutions. First up, as we've already alluded to, is buying a PS5. I'm starting with this one because it is the least likely one to happen. However, I do want to make that jump to the new generation of gaming. This channel plays most eras of video games. I like to highlight retro consoles like the GameCube. However, I do also like to talk about new consoles as well. However, I only own the Nintendo Switch as far as new consoles are concerned. I'm still rocking my base model Xbox One, for crying out loud, which I think I got in 2015, so that's coming up on a decade old. When I look at the new video games coming out in 2024, it's hard to get excited for anything other than your first-party Nintendo games. I normally do not buy new consoles right when they come out for obvious reasons, such as the rarity, the price, and the lack of good games right out of the gate. However, I believe this will mark the 4th year of the PlayStation 5. They should be readily available, the price should be reasonable, and there should be a nice array of games to choose from. My second resolution is beating Dark Cloud 2. I absolutely love Dark Cloud 2. I've talked about it in several videos now, yet I've never actually beaten it. I think I'll probably break down and end up buying a strategy guide for this game at some point, because I'm really hoping to check this game off my backlog here in 2024. And now that I think about it, that might actually be a pretty neat idea. Maybe I'll do a video showcasing the games that I want to beat in 2024, and at the end of the year we can kind of reflect back on how well I did. That could be a cool video. Next up is I want to hit 200 games owned for the Nintendo GameCube. At the time of writing this, I own about 180 games, so buying 20 more GameCube games shouldn't be too bad. And for those of you that do not already know this, I'm going for a complete North American GameCube set. When I cross the 200 barrier, that will give me roughly 36% of the library, give or take, because the GameCube has roughly 550 games. So yeah, I'd really love to hit the 225 to 250 barrier. That would put me at about halfway if I was able to achieve that many games. However, that would mean adding roughly 50 to 75 more games. That is a lot of games to add in one singular year, especially considering I want to do this by adding playable, good games that I actually want first, and not just beefing the number up by going and buying all the sports titles and such. Last year I was able to knock out some real heavy hitters like Fire Emblem, so I'm hoping I can do something like, I say Gacha Force, but Gacha Force is probably too expensive, and to add another 50 games, that's probably just too much for 1 year, especially when you see my number 1 entry on this list. So we'll see how the year goes. Next up, I want to give some love to some consoles that I haven't played a lot of lately. And I think if you guys were to participate with me and make your own New Year's resolutions, that this would be a pretty common answer. The showcasing, games or consoles we haven't played a lot lately. And the two that come to my mind are the OG Xbox and the PlayStation 4. I'll go ahead and talk about the PS4 first. This is Jessica's console, so I don't really play it. I don't think I've ever played it. But that means I've put off games like Ratchet & Clank and Ghost of Tsushima, and I can no longer commit such gaming sins. I think about how big my PS4 backlog's getting with even just the games that we jointly own too, like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn. I've missed out on this whole generation. So with that in mind, guys, leave me some PS4 exclusives in the comments below. That way I know what games to be on the lookout for when I go game hunting. Now, onto the OG Xbox. I really want to go back and revisit some classic titles here. One that comes to my mind first is obviously the OG Halo games, seeing kind of where they planted their roots at. There's also some platformers like Blinks and Voodoo Vince, and that's to say nothing of the RPGs like Elder Scrolls and Jade Empire. The exclusive here have always stood out to me, even though they've been remade and ported to newer consoles. I think of games like Stubbs the Zombie, Jade Empire, Phantom Dust, Otage, and Gun Valkyrie, to name a few. Needless to say, I've been building up quite the backlog for this console because I was going to stores like McKay's and buying most of my Xbox games for $1 or $2. I really am in most of my OG Xbox games next to nothing. I literally have Xbox games where you can see the sticker for like 15 cents, 25 cents. Like, it's ridiculous. But I did not own the OG Xbox as a kid. I owned the PS2 in my youth, and I've played a lot of GameCube as an adult. So it's so refreshing to take a console as cool as the Xbox, and every time you look at it, every time you research about it, you're literally learning about new games that you never heard of. That's just really cool to me. Alright, number 1 on my list is buying 2 heavy hitters. And it's not just any heavy hitters. It's Chrono Trigger and Devil's Third. Devil's Third is a big one to me, guys. I'm going for a complete Wii U, like North American collection. And the heaviest game on there is Devil's Third. And I'm missing only 2 games. Just Dance 2019 and Devil's Third. I know, quite the pair to be missing, but I've put it off for about as long as I can. The other game is Chrono Trigger. I truly need to give Chrono Trigger its own video, as it's one of the biggest reasons that I'm into retro video games. It's what started my hunt. When I started thinking about going back and buying old video games, Chrono Trigger was at the top of the list. And I guarantee you guys, when and if I buy Chrono Trigger and Devil's Third, they'll each get their own videos because those games mean so much to me that if I were to ever obtain them, I mean, they'd have to get their own videos. So be on the lookout for those videos later this year. Now, of course, this goal directly conflicts with my goal of bolstering my GameCube collection. Because as you can imagine, it'd be really hard to buy 50 to 70 GameCube games and buy Chrono Trigger and buy Devil's Third. It's honestly probably just asking for too much. So some compromise is going to have to be made unless I just get really lucky yard selling or at retro video game stores or something to that effect, or trading some games. I don't know. I'd have to get lucky to be able to achieve the GameCube list and the heavy hitter one. So those are my gaming New Year's resolutions, guys. Let me know what are some of yours. They can be really anything gaming related. They can be buying a game you've wanted or beating a game that you've owned, obtaining merchandise for a franchise you love. Like, I'd love to get some Hat in Time or Kirby merchandise. Maybe it's dusting off an old console or revisiting one of your past favorites, guys. Really, let me know what your New Year's resolution is, and let's make 2024 our year, guys. Go ahead and subscribe if you like content like this, and we'll see you in the next one.